Okay, so this is part 2 of the expose on toxic. The first one was no deals, and the second one is who is toxic. So this is PowerTrAp, toxic part 2, and this is asking the question of how long has toxic been a campaigner? Because she would have people believe that she was a grandma that heard about fracking and just suddenly had to fight fracking and protect her grandchildren. So we know for a fact that she goes back to at least 2006, because again the evidence is going to be coming up a little bit later on, and also the fact that she has lived in Blackpool for 30 years and nobody's ever heard of her. And obviously she's been a campaigner, or at the forefront of a campaign, because remember, she's now got all the greens in her hand. So why didn't that happen before? She's been doing it since 2006. Why all of a sudden now would she be a campaigner? When we now know that it goes back to 2006. So what we're going to explain now is show you the evidence that we've got, and let you make your own mind up, and then ask the question, why the Greens are fronting this lady? So, who has truly been affected by toxic? And I want you to think about this as we go through this presentation. Eliminate all of the factors, and the one which remains must be the truth. Sherlock Holmes. Eliminate all of the factors, which hopefully we're going to do tonight, and the ones which remains must be the truth. And that's all we are after, is the truth. Will the voice of a local be heard by the Greens? To begin dialogue, you first need to listen to the question. We begin with toxic 2. Who is toxic? With a candid letter from a well-respected local. She indeed ticks all the boxes of a local, a person who supported the camps when they first got here and spent many hours down at the roadside in all weathers. Done one of the longest lock-ons, 36 hours. After witnessing the abuse and the attacks, she, like many others, had become aware of who's out there to drive people and campaigners away from opposing quadrilla at the gates and online. I think you will agree that they have picked on the wrong lady. And like many, she has been recording and documenting the evidence and bringing charges against those who have abused her. What this contains will leave you most right-minded individuals disgusted and appalled. Some are either not interested or it fits their agenda. So this is me reading out the letter that this brave lady, who was in and out of hospital by the way, with serious health conditions. Nobody's out of bounds for the narcs. This is the letter in response to somebody called Alec. Okay, after Alec has decided to repeatedly throw crazy accusations and lie about me on this group, all proven to be exactly that by myself, I think he needs a reminder of who the real criminals and scum are. P.S. Alec, as I have said numerous times over the past few days, and you fail to take notice, I speak the truth unlike you, and I can prove everything I say unlike you again. Now then, shall we start with a small selection of who you are happy to rub shoulders with and worship at Maple Farm, Newhope and Roadside. Again, I have proof of everything to follow. Enough is enough. You freeloaders and scum need outing once and for all. Let's start with one of the two sisters who brought one of the neighbours to Maple Farm knowing all about his background, yet kept it quiet, as did her other sister, and also foul-mouthed live streamer. The man was a convicted rapist, a man who dragged an unborn girl off the street, subjected her to a vicious rape. He served time. The sisters happily had him there every Wednesday, rubbing shoulders with the women in white, even having him walk with them down the road, telling them he was there to protect them. They also had him dressed as Mickey Mouse one week, hugging the women in white and kids. Knowing him could bring up what he was. Yes, I outed him after he heard his name mentioned and knew of him through his wife's daughter he had sexually abused for many years. Damn right I did. How about the woman who has indeed got benefit fraud charge and is being charged with another, not forgetting insurance fraud too? Or how about the woman who was given a suspended sentence for luring her victim to an address, burning her face with a lit cigarette and causing burns to her legs with a stun gun? How about the man who was admitted on camera that his ex accused him of sexually abusing their daughter, yet Maple Lot, etc., happily allow him around the kids? Or did I mention the verbal abuse he has given many and how he spat at me, and in brackets, yes, the police were involved in that one? Or maybe we should mention the man who lied in court and had an innocent man sent to prison for murdering, ruining 17 years of his life. That poor man died shortly after being freed. Said man then went on to lie about the police too. Talking of murder, how about the man who was admitted to committing manslaughter? The same man who was given info to security of actions the next morning and getting money and drink from them. A man with violent crimes against him. The man who shot many locals by calling out for weed and alcohol on his live stream from the gates. Now the sisters grin. One of them who has physically assaulted at the gates on one or more occasions and verbally abused many, same sister who threatened a good lady with a glass bottle. The other sister who was verbally abused and lied about many, roadside, verbally abused locals driving past and verbally abused the police and a man in London. Also a suicide victim's mother in Birmingham. How about the other gang member with an £80,000 theft? Violent crimes, drug and alcohol addicts, the drug taking and making, etc. Yet you dare and try to spread lies about me. You are a fool in more ways than one. Your leader has said on camera she holds a chessboard at PNR, Preston New Road. You are one of the pawns she has and the other string pullers get you to do their dirty work. And you are foolish enough to do just that and overlook years of professionally destroying protests, injunctions she has brought in as court papers show. Deals and covenants she has admitted to on camera and TV. Next time you try to lie about me, I suggest you check your facts beforehand and look closer to the gang cult you follow like a lapdog. I have nothing to hide, but many do and try to down there. Many more than I have mentioned here. What is your story? Feel free to screenshot and pass this to your cult gang controllers. The only people I am concerned for are the good people out there who have been affected, intimidated, bullied, lied about, abused in various ways by the disgraceful lot. Be that anti, pro, police, workers, other locals, the public, my neighbours, friends or family. You see, what you've got to understand is we are the innocent party. We have done nothing wrong. We have no criminal past. All we've done as a community is stop quadrilla for the previous 7 years until this well-coordinated, well-funded control group came in, headed by Toxic and supported by the Greens. They are the ones that need to be questioned. Toxic is the one that needs to be questioned. And we're going to force you to do it because we've taken it for 2 years. So we have this recorded evidence. The green sounding very much like a blue. What do I mean? Toxic sounding very much like a Tory. Already accused Gayzer Frackman of stalking. This was back in February 2017. February 14, 2017. And stating he was a rude, shouty man. Toxic. Claire Perry, October 2018. Accusing Gayzer Frackman of stalking and being a rude, shouty man. The similarities.
You don't care about people oppressing the road. It's all about tuna.
You are a rude, shouty man, Gayzer.
Why did you stop me, Tina? Nasty cop.
Rude, shouty man.
Why did you stop me?
Be quiet, man.
No, John knows me.
Be a rude, shouty
John's
man.
put a sign up.
Someone cares about your opinion.
This is Steve doing a 15-minute walk in. There's a loud public to get to where the station.
Now we'll see a little bit more of this a bit later on, because this was the day that Toxic, John Hobson, Julie Daniels were completely and utterly outed, and also Helen Rimmer at the end of this video. That's a bit later on. This is Claire Perry when I served her notice and the MEDAC report. Have a listen to the similarities.
Make sure you get to your car safe because it's genuinely quite aggressive, I have to say. So we don't really appreciate it. I have quite a lot of shouty men in my life. I don't really need anyone.
So that's a very sexist mark, you know. I know lots of shouty women.
Yeah. Where do you live?
Me? I live in Lancashire.
So you're not from. So let's say we'll take you to information as tomorrow.
All right. So you're okay, but you're a minister that can actually frack where I live, and then we've defeated your government for 7 years with the evidence. If one child dies, you're going to get a letter through your door because that is personally to you, right? In that MEDAC report, it shows about.
The gentleman is doing that thing of stalking MPs and shouting at me, and he's not from here. I need to go to.
Excuse me, can I need to go to an meeting?
I'm to you anyway, and I'll come and text you.
No, I won't. You've made an accusation, though.
You get in your car.
You've made an accusation, though.
Do you want to get to?
A rude, shouty man and stalking. Believe me, there is a lot worse. So do the Greens endorse this behaviour? This came over as being very man-hating and disrespects the values and heroism of the suffragettes. They were supposed to be honouring in London. Have the Greens now turned into a baying pack on anyone with an opinion that is not to their liking? This is not acceptable behaviour. And by association, the Greens are even more tarnished by their unquestioned support of Toxic and her gang. The language and aggression at the end sums up what an out-of-control mob they are. This is disgraceful, absolutely disgraceful. Now have a listen to this and watch the gang mentality. And this is exactly what they are feeding. And the clique that buy into this.
Hi, we're going to be going now, back to Newbury.
Oh, thank you so much for coming.
So, what does that mean?
Now what he said there, this is just what he said. You came by bus. That was it. You came by bus. And he came by a train. That was it. And I'll just watch what unfolds from this point onwards.
How dare you? How dare you? How dare you?
Well, you
You
came
rude,
by bus.
ignorant man.
I came
You
by
rude,
train.
ignorant man. Go away. Go away from good women. Go away from good women. Go away from good women. You rude, ignorant man. You rude, ignorant man. Look at your face in that. Look at you.
You are a total hypocrite. You came by bus.
What did you
I
want me
came
to
by
do?
train.
Oh, you fucking hero. You hero. Look at you. You're such a big clever man.
Trains use them.
Big clever man. Look at you. Big clever man. Come and insult the ladies. Go on. Let's follow this nice man. Such a nice man. But he's intimidating women. Intimidating women. Rude, ignorant beast. Rude, ignorant beast. I didn't touch it.
Get your hands
I
off.
have no hands.
And go and tell your
Yeah, we've got all our things. And then we do it on the way back. Where's Julie? Hey, come on down to the women and said, how dare you, you hypocrites. I saw you. You got on a bus. I took a train. Yeah, I didn't shout at him. He was down there, wasn't he? Oh, and he shouted at him. What a rude bastard. What gave him the right to speak to us like that? And power! She's been waiting for us. We have to collect all our bits before we can walk round to the bus.
What right has he got as a man to speak to Tina like that? Well, I think you'll find it wasn't disrespectful, it was a comment. And he's allowed a comment. Totally over the top. The aggression shown by this woman, showing her true side. Now, many of you out there will say, well, he deserved it. He's a man. Because that's exactly how it came over. Other people were joining in, they didn't even know what he'd said. And Julie Wasmere, that I had respect for, didn't even know what was said. Julie Wasmere, that was just down the road from me in 2014 when we did the Mothers Against Fracking. 3 days worth of actions that she helped me work on. We hand delivered, signed by 200 people, into Downing Street, the Human Rights Report, put together by the Bianca Jagger. And look what happens. Look what toxic creates. Look what the Green support. In fact, I think Caroline Lucas spoke at this afterwards. What the hell has happened to a little bit of conscious thinking? Rational thinking. Because that's what fracking does to you, and toxic absolutely exploits it. And who is winning? The government and the frackers. Because the Greens are totally supporting this. We are not just fighting fracking and the government. We are also now fighting the Greens. That is absolutely clear. I mean, you know, it may just be that you were thinking, oh, you know, it's just a rude shouty man. Well, Greens, hang your heads in shame. There is no place where this is acceptable. An innocent lady targeted and faced uncalled for aggression and abuse from Toxic and the other suffragettes that they were dressed as, and this was in Birmingham. And if you think this is bad, take note of what this lady here, take note of how calm she is until she faces the abuse of Toxic. That is speaking kindly to all the gentlemen. Just wait till you see what she says to this lady.
Some support for the mothers of Lancashire, protecting our children from fracking.
Yeah, tell Clive over the service.
We'd like support for the mothers and grandmothers of Lancashire, trying to protect our children from fracking. You don't have children then? She doesn't have children, please. No, I haven't. No, obviously.
Committed suicide before Christmas.
So that means it's okay to attack other people's children, is it? Don't tell me that as I feel guilt. I feel no fucking guilt. Why would I feel guilt? You agree, I am. You are agreeing to do things that are going to harm my grandchild. You will harm her. She won't have the option to take her own life. She is going to be harmed by your government's decision.
Yes, you are.
Yes, of course it is. She's my sister.
Would you like to go and make a disgusting toy?
There's no one worse than you.
You're a terrible woman.
I wonder why. I wonder why. Why?
I'll get back down. Get back down.
Quick, have a snigger about it and you get charged. I think you think it's funny.
I think you're all funny.
Really? How can you find anything funny? Yeah, that's an intelligent response.
And that's why you're a Tory.
And that's why you're a Tory.
Can you believe the police said go and sit around that corner? That's where it's the right place to be, and we didn't believe it. Yeah, another lie.
I mean, do you see these ladies that buy into this? None of them are not shocked whatsoever. They defend what Toxic says. This is totally not acceptable. And I will say and challenge anybody, has anybody ever seen me do anything on this level? Has anybody seen the people down at Preston Road do anything at this level? So why is this woman allowed and supported and not questioned? How many of you are actually shocked about what you just heard? Maybe some of you it's the first time you've seen it. With no remorse, Toxic tries to apportion blame. Apportion blame. She is a disgrace, and disgrace is all we are supposed to stand for. When are the Greens going to hear us and the truth on Toxic? A more pressing question is, when are they going to act? She can only do this and be as damaging as she is with the support of Lush, Green Party, Greenpeace, Friends of the Earth, that keep supporting her without question. Green Mondays, Women in White. It's a disgrace. Have a listen to this.
I've done a blog deliberately to make it clear, but when the Times did it, they twisted words around and made, for some reason, a newspaper considered a row between two women was worthy of news in a world full of tragedy and trauma. She'd approached 5 of the women from Lancashire on her way to reaching me. She'd attacked each of them and said how much she wanted fracking, which to any mother in Lancashire is like saying, I want to play Russian roulette with your kids' lives. By the time she got to me, she was in full rage, tore into me about it, and I said, don't you have children? And she said, my daughter committed suicide. Now, in any other setting, in any other place, I would have empathised, sat her down and sympathised with her. I know what it's like. I've lost a very dear friend to suicide. There's all those I wish I could have changed all that. But this was not the time and place, this was the entrance to there. And as she walked off, I simply said, my response was automatic, and yes, it was wrong and I wish I hadn't said it, but I said, our children have no choices. This will kill them. So that was my incorrect speech, and I shouldn't have said it like that, and under different circumstances I would. As she walked off, she turned and laughed at me, and I asked how she could snigger after telling me her daughter committed suicide. So yes, I'm sorry the incident hurt her, and I'm sorry that she revisited the suicide of her daughter, and I wish I had more control over my temper, but I'm flawed, human, and screwed up like everyone else. And for me, the trigger is, when you say, I want fracking, I hear you saying, I want to harm your child. That's what I hear. So as much as I empathise with the things that trigger her, maybe the things that trigger us are really severe after 7 years of this too.
Just one thing about Caroline Lucas, they've actually asked Caroline to probably...
They are, yes, and I was no more representing the Green Party than my book club or my literary group. You can't just say because I happen to think they're a really good party, well the best we've got, that then I was representing them. I'm only a member. I'm nothing official, I'm nobody's official anything. I act as an autonomous, independent activist, and I will leave all affiliations if it comes to the fact that I would have to self-censor in order to function as an activist.
I'm sorry, she's absolutely... It is beyond belief that what she says there, to worm out and say that people spun words and that she came at her aggressively, was absolutely untrue. And to say she doesn't represent, she's autonomous, when she clearly represents the cover girl for the Friends of the Earth on all the brochures, in all the material, in all the donation pages. The latest one, £3 a month. She's on there with the nanas. Because this is not stopping fracking. When she was down at Birmingham, the lady she took on wasn't there. Many people won't know this. She was not there to about fracking. Most of the people there were not there about fracking. She was there to go to a fringe meeting about gaslighting, because the partner of the her daughter that committed suicide was gaslighting, was putting her under pressure, gaslighting her, which is now a crime as well. But that's why she was there. Nothing to do with fracking. Toxic. These ladies here didn't even ask her about that, because it's fake. It's fake what they're doing. They're not there to do or reach out to people in dialogue. It's attack, attack, attack. But that also is a plan to make people like myself and the anti-fracking campaigners. It's not a movement, because the Friends of the Earth have made sure it's not a movement. They have decimated what was once in excess of 400 groups. And this is a massive reason why. Sadly, this is what we have witnessed many times at Preston New Road, but being ignored or attacked when we have tried to raise the issue of toxic. After a locals meeting at Maple Farm to get organised to help Gate Camp, as high winds threatened to blow it into the road and keep the night watch safe and supported, we were threatened and intimidated by security provided by Joe Corrie of Talk Fracking. Two of the ladies who were there, actually in Gate Camp, you'll hear them speaking in a second, tried to explain the facts to no avail. Toxic made the decision to ban Gayzer Frackman for helping at the Gate Camp. They did not want Gate Camp. They did not want Gate Camp. Newell, PCK McCann, Yellowbelly, Toxic did not want Gate Camp. Why would you not want something that's there that's logging the movements and the what's happening on site? Why would you not want that? Because they do not want us to oppose fracking. It is clear with every single thing they've done, and certainly the first action at the beginning of 2018, when this lady here single-handedly stopped the Red Fridays of the unions and the Labour Party, when she called it Black Friday, completely nullified it, and I knew at the beginning of 2018 this was what they wanted. So what did happen that night, and why was Gayzer Frackman barred and locals ignored? This is it. In fact, we'll go past that one, because that's basically what I've just told you there is what I've just, that's basically what's happened, what's on that video. So I think we'll just bypass that one. So the question is, who is toxic? For long-time campaigners and NGOs, certain groups or organisations flag up controlled opposition. They should know with their experience and for how many decades they've been doing it. We were led to believe, when Tina Roderick came to join our group, that she had come up from London from Occupy to help. She certainly did not have a local accent, I think we'll all agree on that. With our limited resources, we are trying to unfold who Toxic really is, and her real background. The earliest we can go back to is Occupy and the Bank of Ideas. Later on you'll have evidence. So she is not what she would have you believe, a grandmother that dropped everything to stop fracking. Mentioned in the news clip here from 2011, she mentions Arms for Arms, which she was part of in 2006. For someone who has been doing it for such a long time, how come we've never heard of anything of her success? Surely she will be heading a group or organisation by now, and she would have had a hand in not just stopping fracking, also sucking the she has no hand in stopping fracking, only sucking the oxygen and support away from where it's needed. Serious questions now need to be asked by those who support her. And this is, I think it was the Sky News that she was on. But also notice as well, when you see these programmes, they're very biased. They normally overtalk or keep firing questions. Just look what a safe pair of hands she's in and how relaxed these three men speaking to her are. I've done many interviews and you don't get much time to speak before they fire the next question at you.
Let us move on. The protest movement that has seen thousands of people occupy areas around Wall Street is set to spread to London this weekend. Organisers say more than 4,000 people will flock to St Paul's Cathedral on Saturday afternoon before occupying an area in or around the London Stock Exchange. Joining us now is Tina Rothery, who is a planner from Occupy LSE movement. Tina, very nice to see you today. Now, there's plenty of anti-capitalism movements around. Of course, Stefan is at the G20, and we know that that attracts its fair share as well. It certainly did in April 2009 in London. What exactly is it you're protesting against now?
We're protesting against the fact that the government doesn't operate in the way that the people expect it to. And I believe that that doesn't make a difference whether it's Labour or Conservative or which government it is. They just aren't performing in the way that we expect them to, which is on behalf of the people. It appears that each time a bank needs a bailout, we dive straight in there. Each time we have to compensate for that with a cut, it comes from us. So it's a worldwide feeling that our governments are not acting on behalf of the people, they're acting on behalf of the financial and the commerce sector.
Okay, well that's a broad brush statement. They're not acting on behalf of people. What should they be doing specifically, for instance? I mean, what's the plan of action?
So in 2008, we gave we made more money available, and we gave it to the banks in hope that they would lend it out. They didn't. We haven't made them suffer for this in any way, shape or form, and last week we gave them another 75 billion. And why do we trust that they will do that? Why do we trust that they will put that back into the economy? They didn't last time, and no one has been penalised for this. And so why could we not have found a more creative way of putting that 75 billion back into our economy that benefited the people instead of financial services getting their first cut?
Yeah, and I take your point to a degree, but also, don't you think part of the problem is actually that the banks did lend money indiscriminately, and that's what got us into the mess in the first place? The fact that the banks aren't lending people money on 100% of their mortgages, 120% of their mortgages, not lending businesses money on quite such a wanton way as they used to, isn't that actually a good thing?
Totally agree. The whole culture of lending was wrong. But then so is the whole culture of feeding it back in to feed that system. I don't necessarily want them to feed it back in and lend it back out. What I want them to do is get more creative. You know, I live in a world where I'm on the internet. I see the most amazing minds come up with the most amazing solutions. And we're not looking at any of them. We stick with the same tried and trusted. It's not looking for a revolution. I don't want to camp in the street. I really don't. I like my bed. I like my hairdryer. But, you know, I have a granddaughter who's 6, and I have a mother who passed away on May 5th. And she suffered at the hands of an underfunded NHS. My granddaughter goes to a school that is overcrowded. They've got to reduce school meals. She doesn't need to get them, but other kids I know do. They took away the money that they were giving the teenagers to get to high school. Admittedly, they should never have given them £30 a week. They should have given them a bus pass and maybe food vouchers. There's no intelligence happening in our government, but there's intelligence elsewhere. So why are we not sourcing that instead?
There are a lot of angry people in this country, as there are in many other countries, and you've mentioned a range of issues that you yourself have got strong feelings about here. And isn't that always the danger with these kind of events, that what you get is a broad conglomerate of people with different issues? They're anti-capitalists, they're anarchists, they're all sorts of things.
And that's the problem, you see.
And that doesn't actually focus pressure on the government then to do anything, because they just write you off. They say, oh look, you know, a bunch of nutters.
Yes. And they only film the ones who've already been there for a few weeks and look a bit grubby, because naturally they would. They've been on the street for a few weeks, not necessarily homeless or junkies or hippies.
Grubby, trust me.
I'm going to look hell up today, won't we?
I don't believe that.
But I mean, just on the point, you know, what can you actually achieve in this kind of event where governments or the politicians find it very easy to write you off, because there tend to be a plethora of issues that people are there for?
They do, and that has been the problem in the past. In 2006, I set up an anti-war group called Arms Against War as a result of going to a peace conference in London and being so distressed to see different colours, different groups. And I thought, can we not just all agree we want an end to the war? As opposed to, it must be a socialist or a Christian or a female or this or that. Why should it be all these disparate things? So on this thing, oddly enough, I think we actually have just about cornered it, because just about everyone is saying the government is not operating in the way it should. It is on the side of the financial and business sector. Lovely, I understand that at certain times, but they're not considering us at all, and they're not being creative enough with the solutions. And that is, no one's disagreeing with that one point. All the other points they have, I don't care.
Why do you think the government did what it did, rather than doing what you'd like it to do?
I believe that the way we the way our governments operate as a system, and the way that our elections and our campaigning is funded, is not on our side. I believe it's on the side of the people who fund the government, or who fund the...
So, as you can see, she's a safe person of arms, but what she actually speaks about is flannel. And a lot of things she's saying there, she's saying now. And if she has that sort of support, and she was speaking on behalf of Occupy, right, where are they now? Has anybody heard of, what was it called, Arms Against War? Has anybody heard of Occupy as what it's done? Or Bank of Ideas? If she's been doing this since 2006 and keeps jumping from ship to ship, then it's clear what her objective is, what her job is. It's obvious to anybody. And any NGO would have seen that at the beginning. Why is it important we expose Toxic and her controllers? This is the York meeting. Ian Roberts, Green Party. Toxic, Green Party. Bob Dennett, Green Party, might have been taking a photograph. Represented Lancashire at Friends of the Earth meeting, fronted by Simon Bowen. Though none of these three had helped or had any experience of how we won in Lancashire. And that there was the MEDAC report, that a meeting the day before this, that group had got 5,000 of these printed up. When I went to Friends of the Earth, went to Lancashire, we even went to MEDAC and they wouldn't print them. The MEDAC report is our version of the Concerned Health Professionals of New York. This is the sort of stuff that I've been doing in the background, and groups around the country that have been supporting. We had a network of people, and this is why these people were fronting and working with Friends of the Earth. Already, this was in 2015, already at that point they were already spreading their poison around the country. Toxic and the Nanas at Mizzen, and far right in the yellow is Greg Hewitt, Friends of the Earth, who had a hand in blocking any help I offered from as far back as 2015. Now this is Mizzen. And there's a few faces there that I've not seen. There's Jean, they're fantastic. But part of the, well, I can see two people in there, but part of the Wrestle group that stopped the government from bypassing the councils with the acidisation that was not fracking, and they stopped them 4 times. Mizzen was one of the first groups I went to, and I thought they were already organised. Greg Hewitt and about 3 or 4 other people cut me off completely, took me off the page when I was offering what we'd done in Lancashire. Remember, we'd already closed 4 sites, we'd already been successful in 2015, was offering all that to the groups for them to take it on. But him and a guy from the council, a guy that, when I went over there, when I did a walk down in 2016, oh, we don't need you, we know about the council, we know what we can do. Painting a picture of somebody that seemed to have some other agenda. As you know, I've only one agenda. And like I said, the 3 that were there at that meeting had no hand whatsoever. So why were they there at the York meeting when they knew nothing of our legal challenges, of how we won there, our experts, what we were fighting for, what we were fighting it on? Every single time they're asked a question around that table, and that's only a fraction of the people. Every time I was asking a question around that table, they kept saying, Gayzer will know, Gayzer will. Why was I not invited to that meeting in the first place? I had to. Found out by accident, I had to make my way to that meeting. And this here, Mizzen. Mizzen lost. Mizzen has got a site outside now with a drilling rig in it. When they had a chance in 2015 to get organised and win at their council to get the planning turned down. Why is it important that we expose Toxic and their controllers? Ian Roberts is one of those controllers. Just happens to be a Green Party. Okay, we'll do 2 more and then we'll have a break. So this questions never asked about the controllers. The Troll, Florence Gate, Florence Locke, Louise Torres, and she uses other troll names as well. Only known by a few select Toxic including toxic and reclaim the power. Who is she? This lady's trolled good campaigners, good locals. She's also now on a network of people on Facebook, blocking and getting me blocked and getting other people blocked as well. Who is she known by? John Hobson. Jim Nesbitt was the ex-chair of Rosica. Julie Brickles, I think, knows her. But anyway, Ian Roberts, Maureen Mills, John Hobson, Nick Danby. Only a few people know this woman. And this woman says that she has been a campaigner, a local campaigner in Lancashire, for at least 10 years. Nobody knows her. How strange then that Reclaim the Power had her as our representative to work with them when they came over in 2017, when our meeting was ambushed, when we've been stopping Quadrilla for the previous 6 months. This lady comes in and then disappears, and nobody asks any questions. Ian Roberts left. Green Party, RAF, chair of Frackman Lancashire Finance Subcommittee, controls where many £1,000s go and is privy to all meetings and actions. This guy has had nothing to do whatsoever with our wins at Lancashire, wins at Singleton, wins at Preston Road, Rosica. No hand in it whatsoever. But since 2015, he has wormed his way in to be the chair of Lancashire, this group that used to be a very successful group. On the right here is his brother. Ranking police officer in Manchester, who was Silver Command at Upton Barton Moss. No one asked the question, how the hell did this happen? And why are the Greens and Toxic and the campaigners at New Hope and Maple Farm happy to work with this man? How can somebody like George Brown, who's supposed to be a long-time campaigner, work with Ian Roberts? Any contact whatsoever with the police. His brother is a ranking officer. I mean, this is just off the scale of craziness. And nobody is linking this up. He works with the police. Every time we had a meeting, he was always there. He's always talking to the blue bibs. He's always on the outside. Always watching. Always on the fringes. Never in any actions. Never lock-ons, walk-ons, anything like that. This guy is as sinister as it gets. He actually said to a guy from Reef that had already set up the Frackman Lancashire email address. The guy that you're going to hear about this a bit later on. The email address. The guy that put the Frackman Lancashire site together. He bullied them to hand it over. I didn't know this, I was in the background. He bullied them to hand it over. Saying to the guy, nobody knows you. Well, I'll tell you what, you're all going to know who this guy is now. His name is Ian Roberts. And we're going to kick it off on the second part of this toxic. Who is Tina Rothery? Who is toxic? That's going to be the beginning of our next session.